but they're getting the year awards. I think it'll be a good day for Omaha. I think they'll have the coach of the year. I think they'll have the player of the year. I think Chris Crutchfield will be the coach of the year. Markel Sutton will be the player of the year. J.J. White. In the Summit League, the player of the year is not on the first team because they keep it separate, which they can open another spot.
Okay.
So J.J. White will be, in my opinion, first team.
Easily.
I don't know that Omaha will get honored anywhere else, but to have the coach of the year and the player of the year. But here's the thing that is happening. So Omaha's run to win the regular season and be the number 1 seed is making people uncomfortable.
How so?
Because Omaha has always been looked at as a sleeping giant because of the market.
Yeah.
That if they get it turned around in men's basketball, it could be scary because Omaha men's basketball doesn't have the resources of some of the other teams in this league. And not necessarily the financial part, but South Dakota State, North Dakota State, they all have their own practice facility. Omaha has to practice at a place that OSHA has to approve every single day at Sapp Fieldhouse. It's not ideal. They do the best with it, but there's some challenges that Omaha basketball has. Now, they're far greater than any of the markets that I just mentioned.
Sure.
But people have always around the league told me, and these are coaches that are still in the league, that if Omaha gets it going and they pop, it's going to be scary because they have a great arena. They have an athletic department that wants to win in men's basketball. They got Omaha. They got a
chancellor
name.
popping out of a trash can
Exactly.
with an AEW championship. I mean, when academics gets involved, seriously, and then starts, being and showing face and like putting stock in that, it's another thing too.
They also have the thing about the Summit League gets uncomfortable is the future of the Summit League, which the Summit League is going to bring in Utah Tech and Southern Utah next year. I don't know why they did not pick up Abilene Christian and Tarleton State, but the league is going to expand to 11.
Oh, okay.
St. Thomas is going to move into a brand new arena in their first year of eligibility, which is kind of scary. But the league's going to go to 11. It's expanding west instead of south for next year. But there's always the general discussion around the Summit League is if Omaha, especially men's basketball, has success, that they're not going to stay in the Summit. The Horizon League at one point kicked the tires. The Missouri Valley Conference has kicked the tires. Omaha's men's basketball budget and their travel is not on the level of the Missouri Valley Conference, so that's a ways away.
Sure.
But I'm going to give you another one. And this is, people are, I've got a little bit of a bias here.
Okay.
So Omaha was picked 8th, and they were. Okay. For all intents and purposes and reveal, I picked Omaha 8th as well in the preseason. They're not a favorite in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to guess in the betting odds where Omaha ranks? Now, Omaha finished the year as the number 1 seed. They went 13-3. They didn't lose on their home floor. Their only 3 losses were on the road. Lost by 4 at South Dakota State. Played bad at South Dakota State, and we got kicked. Starting point guard, the best point guard in the league, got injured with 4 minutes to go in the first half when Omaha was down 2, and then got beat. I think it beat by 13 at St. Thomas, and it turned into a free throw contest at the end. But those are the only 3 losses in Summit League play. Would you guys like to guess in the betting world where Omaha's odds are to win the postseason tournament?
4th. I'll say 3rd.
You're right, Jimmy. They are 4th.
Wow. So North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and St. Thomas?
St. Thomas is 1. North Dakota State is 2. South Dakota State is 3. For those of you that are betting on South Dakota State, and I'm not saying they can't go on a run because they're playing at home essentially, and they're still really good, their starting point guard is out for the year with a torn ACL. And they lost they were 2-2 in their last 4 when he was out of the lineup. But it just kind of shows you.
4 is crazy. 4 is wild. To be 4th? What did they
have?
have?
They're plus 450. So St. Thomas is plus 225. North Dakota State is plus 260. South Dakota State is plus 275. And then Omaha is plus 450.
Why?
Because we're just a trash can kicking team.
What
that happened to win the regular season when people go, the Summit League was down. Summit League was pretty good this year. At the top end, the top 4 to 5 teams, anybody could win the Summit League tournament. But to be the 4th best betting odds is wild.
Wild. You have the best player in the league. You have arguably one of the best point guards in the league. Like you said, he's may or may not make the first, Summit League All-First team. This is a team that goes 8 deep. You got great spacing with Tony Osborne. You have two guys coming off the bench, and Jayshon Glover and Lance Waddles, who can, like we've seen in the Summit League play, can go off at any time and at times win you games. I mean, Lance Waddles won on the road at North Dakota State, won Omaha that game with his 3-point prowess. And then you have Josh Streit and Isaac. I'm going to
say it.
Anaconda.
By the way, is coming back.
That's awesome. Like, you have two bruisers in the paint who give you, Isaac Skarts, and Josh Streit gives you great minutes off the bench as well. Like, this is a team that's 8 deep, that has good spacing, that has a superstar, that has a really good coach, has a true floor general point guard, and has won the Summit League regular season championship. Has went 13-3. And on top of that, I understand, like, okay, travel does have something to do with it. It is a disadvantage that they got to go all the way up to Sioux Falls, and that maybe the teams that are closer in relative distance to those places might have an advantage in that regard. But once again, talking about a team who is really a well put together roster, a team that complements themselves, and that has won at the level that they're playing at right now. That's crazy that it's plus 450 is wild.
Well, you ought to see my group text with the staff at Omaha on a lot of the things that have been said about Omaha in the last 2 days. 6:00 on the Thursday night. But today should be a really good day for Omaha men's basketball, and deservedly so. The thing about the Summit League is it's going to turn out, this is going to be the 1, 2, 3. This is going to be the 5th straight year that the player of the year the following year will be playing at a Power 5 school. So Max Asmus won it as a sophomore. He was so good in this league at Oral Roberts. So he comes back to ORU, but Shireman won it in 21-22 and, of course, comes to Creighton for 2 years. Then Max wins it the next year and then goes to Texas to finish his career. Zeke Mayo won it last year and is at KU. Markel Sutton is going to win it this year from Omaha. And because he's a junior college transfer, played 3 years at Omaha, he's got the extra year. And he's gonna be a rich man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And another thing, too, about the disrespect, I follow this guy on Instagram. He's really, really good. His name is Ryan Hammer, and he broke down all of the mid-major bracket tournaments and whatnot, and he broke down the Summit League tournament. And he talked about North Dakota State, the Bison. He talked about Oscar Clough on South Dakota State, and he picked them to win.
Who will be also playing back at a Power 5 school. He went Washington State, South Dakota State, and he'll go to...
When he talked about Omaha?
KU?
Oh.
They're looking to buy themselves a new team, so everybody's eligible.
When he, and I like him, I like Ryan Hammer, and he's a national guy, but when he talked about Omaha, didn't know what he said about him? Didn't say anything about Markel Sutton, didn't say anything about Chris Crutchfield. He just goes, yeah, they make a trash can and they got mojo.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a little bit of, there's a lot of South Dakota State, and rightfully so. I mean, South Dakota State and North Dakota State have been the two premier programs, and people know about them because they go to the tournament. I get it. It's tough when you follow the league on a daily basis and you see people making comments about the Summer League that don't know that South Dakota State lost their point guard and how that has really affected them, or some other injuries. So we'll see. I don't want to go there yet, and I'm not touching the money. But as fun as it's been in the regular season, you got to win 3 more games, and they're the 3 most important games that Omaha plays all year.
Can I tell you this? I like this. I see it in you a little bit. I don't know if you.
I got nothing to do with it, man. I am making a jump shot.
But even for you, there's a little bit of a fire you got going on right now because they're 4th in the betting odds. There's a little bit of a because there is a little bit of an angst, and there is a little bit of a tension.
There's some jealousy towards Omaha being in the Omaha market, and they've had success in a lot of the Olympic sports. And I mean, we won't have like a media contingent up there. Probably won't have a ton of fans until maybe Saturday night. It's just Omaha's an easy program for the rest of the Summit League to crap on.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the Dakotas, and they always think they're rattling the saber about, hey, this is what we should do. Like Trev ticked off the league because Trev was like, I want to take this league higher. And then, Trev wanted the league office in Omaha because of the accessibility to the airport instead of being in Sioux Falls. But Sioux Falls gave the Summit League a great deal on having their office there. This is a league that when I first got into it, the commissioner lived partly in South Dakota and Texas. Okay. And he was just an old guy who, was not along the lines of moving the league forward. Now they've gotten better in that aspect, They still have a ways to go, and I wish they would go all in on men's basketball like the Missouri Valley Conference does and let all the other sports have the residual effect of it, but they won't because they want to be nice to the spring and the
Yeah.
fall and the other winter sports. But Omaha, that's a lot on Omaha because Omaha in men's basketball hasn't held up their end of the bargain. This year they've had a breakthrough. They would make a lot of noise and get a firmer seat at the table, which they already have, but they would get a firmer seat at the table if they could run off run in Sioux Falls. But Trev used to piss this league off.
Really?
Well, because Trev was like one to think bigger, like
Yeah.
the media rights. Why is most of the league's games on a network you can't get in Omaha? Why is it only,
I gotta pay $9.99 a month for midcoastsports.co.
Yeah.
It's not even called Summit League. I just call it Summit League Plus. It's not even called that.
Well, they don't even call it the Summit League app. So they've got some challenges, and Omaha from Trev to Adrian are forward thinkers. So the league is in a weird spot of we have young athletic directors that are thinking big picture, and then you've got some programs that, football, they have football, so football is their main thing, and they're kind of slow to react, and not everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
But the league's going to expand, so they'll add 2 teams out of Utah. I wish they would add 2 out of Texas. And then they got to, you just have to make sure that North Dakota State and South Dakota State are firmly planted in the league because people want their football programs, out in the, the WAC or the Mountain West, more of the Mountain West than the WAC.
It's a good point, but I'll tell you this. The last thing that you want to give the regular season champs who've had one magical run is bulletin board material. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do is doubt them because they got to go and travel, go and play in the conference tournament. And I know, that Coach Crutchfield is going to have these guys ready. And you said it earlier on the show that you said right now that you think that Omaha could beat Nebraska men's basketball right now, this very second.
If they played this afternoon at, where do you want to play the game? Let's go to Mabel Lee Hall.
Okay.
In Lincoln.
Okay.
I think the current today, Omaha would beat Nebraska.
And why? And the reason why
it'd be uncomfortable for Andrew Morgan. He'd be playing against 2 former teammates.
I don't know if I would.
I think Andrew Morgan has come to more Omaha games than McMaster has.
I've gone to
Andrew Morgan is like at almost every Omaha men's basketball game.
Year. That's a lot. Wow.
I think Andrew Morgan's been to probably 8 or 9 Omaha games.
He just enjoys ball.
Well, him and Josh Strider like best buds.
That's sick. But I think Nebraska, I think it would be a close game. I agree with you that it would be a very close game. But why? Like you're making that statement because they have a lot of momentum. This Omaha team's got a ton of momentum. They have a ton of confidence. You watch them on the bench. You watch their leadership that they have on the floor. You watch how these guys interact with each other. And then you watch them play basketball. Like it really is a complete team of guys who, number one, when you watch them, you can see that they enjoy playing together. And then number 2, you watch them, you're like, this is a good team. And I've said this a lot. Watching college basketball, I've only ever watched Power 5. I've only watched Big 12 and the SEC and the Big 10. I've kind of poo-pooed a little bit the quality of mid-major basketball. I've gone to these Omaha games. I've seen them play St. Thomas. I've seen them play Denver. I've seen them play Kansas City. Like, I've seen these games. They're competitive. It's good basketball. It's fluid basketball. It's important basketball. There's stakes to it. And so the fact that, like, they have this confidence and they have this momentum and they now have a lot of people talking to them and paying attention to them, and they've taken that not as weight on their shoulders, but a fire under them is a big deal. And it's like, once again, stop giving Omaha bulletin board material because the Summit League's been giving them bulletin board material all season long, and they've just kept winning.